Chain Druid, they do definitely seem a little bit more consistent than what we've seen before, but it was a deck that received a lot of mockery, honestly, from the pro scene for a while when, AK Wonder qualified for EU Championship with 3 Cthulhu decks.
Yeah.
A lot of the pro community was like, how did that happen? 3 Cthulhu decks.
Yeah, he was still playing Buccaneers of Evil, right? So that's kind of like, if, paraphrasing the life coach would be like, well, to make this deck better, I'll just replace the bad cards with good cards. So.
Yeah, we got pro deck building tips with Life Coach out. He was like, yeah, you just cut the bad cards, replace them with good cards. It's easy.
Yeah, you don't even have to play Cthulhu anymore after that. Yeah, it's really interesting because when AK Wonder qualified for the Hearthstone Championships, which by the way is happening next weekend, you'll see some of your favorite players like Tice, AK Wonder, and etc. He was saying that.
Guy.
Huh?
I don't know the third guy.
Yeah, you'll see. Just tune in next week.
You mean Crane 333, that guy?
No. He said etc.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, don't worry. With the sneaking a Lothar joke somewhere in there. He's even said that he wasn't exactly the most well prepared. He just played like a Cthulhu deck because he thought it was like better than what people thought.
Right. And
it's the same exact thing here. Like I think the Cthulhu Druid is just under people's radar, and I want to see if it can continue to impress despite people saying, yeah, Cthulhu's okay, and it's like it does its thing. But, we do see 5 different classes here in the grand finals. It's not like one set strategy has gotten these players to the same exact point. And also, I want to see if Amnesiac, once again, can play this control shaman and win with it.
Yep, definitely.
Is definitely going to be a big talking point of the series. His decision to bring it has so far paid off. He's made it all the way to grand finals, so it's been working for him so far, but there's always the opportunity for it to come unstuck.
So we're going to go into the grand finals, this time with us 3 sticking around, so no need to thank me, guys. We are going to go into Control Warrior versus Arena Warlock. Although there are some interesting twists on the Control Warrior, it's not your conventional lists. And I like it because I feel like Amnesiac is like starting to really come into his own with multiple different styles. Specifically with how he always loves to bring Control Warrior and how he really tries to make it his own as well. Like back when he was winning the America's Championships, he was playing the version that Eversection popularized with Doomsayers and Gorehowl and a few other cards that people weren't really including in their usual repertoire.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Amnesiac is, I think, very, very well respected as a player at this point, but I think he still hasn't quite got the appreciation he deserves as a deck builder as well. He doesn't necessarily make huge innovations in terms of new archetypes, but he's very, very good at, tweaking specific cards here and there, adapting to the metagame in that way. He's a very, very unappreciated deck builder as well, but from SuperJJ's side, the Reno Lock, he's one of the few people who's still holding on to the Reno Lock dream at this point. It's a deck that's started to fade out of preference a little bit, but I know he is a big fan of this particular build that he's been playing for the best part of a month now, I believe.
Yeah, Reno Warlock still has its place in the metagame, which against control decks, it conveniently works out pretty well if you play a late game build. But, I mean, when JJ having Alex Straza and Mountain Giant definitely seems to differ from, at least in the Zoth builds. Do you have any opinions on Reno Warlock, Lothar?
I like the version with Zoth. I mean, this is like something that can curve out perfectly against auto control decks, which is something that we like. This metagame with the ban format is something that is heavily shifting into a control-heavy metagame, right? So cards like Zot bring out the best out of the deck instantly.
Yeah.
But then other decks will adapt to that metagame with like brawl cards, right? This is something that we see in Amnesiac hand, and he's also playing Zot himself. So as much as I like the Reno Jackson Warlock in general, I feel like it's kind of lackluster without that adjustment to the metagame that is evolving right now.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too. And I think because you've made some cuts to be slightly better with pushing out that Leroy Jenkins faceless combo, as a result, like your way to win the board is significantly dipped compared to like playing the Zoth. But I mean, at the same time, if you can line up these threats like this, like the good old version of Handlock.
Right, I was just about to say, this is like the dream Handlock opening against Control Warrior. Twilight Drake into tap Mountain Giant, and yeah, this was considered the dream back when you had 2 of each of those cards in your deck. So when you only have 1, it's a very, very fortunate opening from JJ, and there's no answer to the second big threat here that's particularly appealing. The Twilight Drake was dealt with nice and easily, but the Mountain Giant is going to represent a lot of pressure.
It's something like, it's way different when we have seen the usual Control Warrior matchup against a Handlock, as you mentioned, because it was sporting 2 Twilight Drakes and 2 Mountain Giants. So you usually use the execute for the Twilight Drake because you use other means to deal with it.
Right.
But in this particular matchup, you can use the execute because what are the chances of having the 1 Mountain Giant in your hand, right? Do you play around it? Most likely not. You need to deal with the threat at hand.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, Twilight Drake was something that you tended to try and deal with through other means, even if it just involved taking 12 from it with a Death Spite. You know, you just Death Spited it once, took the face damage again, and then hit it again on the next turn. So, but in this scenario, totally agree with the execute being used. You're not expecting another huge threat coming out straight away, but it does. And there is an Acidic Swamp Ooze here, but is that enough to detract him from playing the Emperor on this turn? He does already have the power overwhelming, so that is enough to make the full combo happen when he does draw the other pieces.
That's true, but do you want to just throw out the Emperor to die to this board? I mean, it kind of diverts the attention from the Mountain Giant, but there was a reason why Amnesiac put the Giant on 4 HP, right? So what can JJ read out of this situation?
Yeah, he probably has some way to deal that 1 extra damage if it's the Revenge or... You know, sometimes you're not exactly sure what they run. They could do anything, but he's not going to be deterred. He's just going to go to the face with the Void Walker protecting it, and that will encourage. Another weapon comes in hand, but that will encourage Amnesiac to try and use his minions to get through, and then he'll have to use Revenge.
It looks okay to use the Revenge. The problem is still 2 minions will remain on the board, so maybe there's some merit to play Brawl. But the problem is if you Brawl this time, I mean, I know he's playing 2, right, in his deck.
Yep.
But if you Brawl this turn, your opponent might actually curve out with a 4-drop and a 3-drop, and that will be really problematic at this stage of the game.
Right. But again, you have to consider that you're playing against a Reno lock, so the chances of them having the perfect turn on any given turn is very drastically reduced, especially when you're involving a 3-drop, because there's really only that one Imp Gang boss in the deck that fills that role generally. So I think the Brawl would be the end of the world. The Fiery War Axe option here, Bloodhoof Brave going to try and wall out the Mountain Giant, and there is the Siphon Soul in hand.
Well, there's also a Silence.
There is also a Silence, and alongside the Power Overwhelming, he's actually very, very close to just lethal damage here. Siphon Soul going to come out. This is so much of a beating he's taken from this Mountain Giant. He will be able to now clear it on this turn, but how much of the damage is done already? Well, simple answer, 23 of the damage is done already. But
Yeah, I think he was hoping to his opponent to play a few more minutes of Revenge, could get a little bit better. But now he's vulnerable to just a single Leroy off the top of the deck, and that will end the game. Oh, he's
Hellfire's
close.
almost.
doesn't get it.
Imagine if he had the Soulfire build. Hellfire, Soulfire.
Right.
That's it.
But his turn's pretty solid here anyway, right? Spellbreaker and Senjin is still a decent answer, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and tap and gets rewarded with the Leroy.
Well, that is a sick draw. One thing I wanted to put some attention to is the fact why JJ used the Siphon Soul instead of the Silence.
Sure.
Is because one thing was really an upside in this situation. If you use the Siphon Soul, you decrease the overall attack on the board, which puts Amnesiac in a really uncomfortable spot when he most likely will have to use the weapon to deal the additional 1 damage if he doesn't have anything to deal from hand. And it looked kind of like he was playing the lackluster Taunt in the way of the Giant, which kind of like made an impression on JJ that there is no way to deal the 1 additional damage. So.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, and if he did play the Spellbreaker, we of course know that Revenge would have cleaned up the Spellbreaker, so it was a really good move from JJ for a lot of things, knowing that this is a possibility. If he was to do 1 damage, it'd be through Revenge, and he also was playing a little bit greedy with his health total. Of course, the Leroy was like an accelerated win condition, but we kind of anticipated that Reno Lock for several turns would be in that position to just draw Leroy and the game, because Warrior didn't have anything to just bounce back amounts of health. They don't have shield block. He didn't have another wave of taunts. So a job well done for JJ, but kind of expecting it to go that way. And we'll see whether or not we can climb back with Control Warrior versus Miracle Rogue. JJ's going to try to continue to snipe some of these control decks with his control killers.
Yeah, I mean, this deck, I believe, plays 2 Conceals in it, so that is a build of Rogue that terrorizes control decks, because you're able not only to draw your deck so consistently with the Gadgetzan Auctioneer in combination of Conceal, but you also have those guaranteed setups, almost guaranteed setups for Cold Blood for damage by concealing minions. You can conceal huge Van Cleefs. So, of course, Warrior does have ways to beat that using Brawl, but if you keep your minion count low on the board, you can mitigate the effect that Brawl even has against your concealed board.
Yeah, I mean, Amnesiac I think also runs a Ragnaros, perhaps, so that is one way you can deal with it too, but if that's really the most reliable source of 50-50, you don't exactly feel. Sorry, 50-50 at best.
Yep.
You're not
It's
exactly feeling good.
95% phase, man.
Yeah. If you are Lothar or Frodan, it's a 95% chance phase. But for the most part, that is your best tools. Otherwise, you just try to do the same thing that you always do, which is try to pressure if you can. But it's not like Amnesiac has the most pressure-inducing hand.
No, Acolyte Pain does come down here. The Deadly Poison is there to answer it quite nicely. He's going to choose to cycle the Shiv here, it looks like, which is...
I like that, because he needs to dig for that one conceal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And also, I think you could see his intention to not use... to use the Shiv on this turn, because he didn't attack face with the dagger on the previous turn. So if he was just planning to Deadly Poison pass on this turn, if an Acolyte came down, then you would have seen him attack face, or else he would have missed 1 damage over the course of the game. So looked like that Shiv was always in his mind.
Yeah, the eternal question that always plagues every rogue player without a guaranteed 3-mana play, which is, do I attack with the dagger on turn 2?
It's not an easy answer, to be honest.
It really isn't.
No,
Have you heard TJ's opinion on this matter? He says you always attack every single time.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
He said those words. That is a quote.
TJ also thought that Hobgoblin Warrior was a legitimate thing back when it was still in rotation.
Yeah, he's still trying. He's over in Wild trying to make TJ Warrior work, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, just like listening to RDU talk to me about attacking on turn 2 with Rogue has been one of the more eye-opening things about how little I know about this class and how much I probably need to play thousands of more games in order to start understanding the surface level of it.
Did he, like, write an 1,000 word essay
No,
about it?
he just talked. And then I walked away and he followed me and kept talking. And I went to the bathroom and he waited outside the bathroom and was talking through the bathroom wall to explain. And then at the very end, he had the nerve to tell me it's not that, it's so simple. And then he talked for 15 minutes straight. He's like, yeah, it's so simple. I don't know why no more people do it.
Sounds like him.
Yeah. So you have a few ways to deal with this Azure Drake. I guess, well, I was thinking originally just kind of shield slam and moving along with it, but he chooses to revenge instead.
I like this play because it puts the weapon on board when you can curve out with the Justice card next turn.
Sure.
So you have an option to kill a free drop if there will be an option, because it feels like the Azure Drake that was played from JJ's side was really forced out. It wasn't really when I was analyzing his hand, I was like, maybe it's actually worth to keep that coin in hand still,
Sure.
because the Bloodhoof Brave is not really that threatening right now, but you want to play the backstep on it. So how much is it valuable to just play the Azure Drake there?
But also, look at how valuable that shield slam is. His hand was just a card, double shield block, bash with a shield slam. So that shield slam is pretty much removal for anything he wants ever. So I definitely agree with him holding on to it.
Makes sense. This is starting to get dangerous, though. Double Tomb Pillager on the board, followed by Gadge Stand and Teachers in the background, waiting for their time to pounce. So a lot of follow-up coming out from JJ, and Amnesiac needs more than just some of these utility cards to stabilize.
He has more.
Yeah, but now you're going to see that shield slam come into play. This hand is just packed full of removal, and he is having to limit his options, but he's just going to go ahead and use the bash here instead. Actually, forgot he had the weapon equipped there for a second. Thought he was going to have to shield slam and bash on this turn, but the weapon takes care of one of them, tanks a little bit of extra damage on the face, but both shield blocks in hand plus the hero power means he can stabilize this health very, very quickly. But it looks like it may be auctioneer time.
Is it? I feel like this is a turn when you can actually play Violet Teacher and just a free drop, because you still put pressure on the board, while you need that certainty that you will have you want to do something this turn with those abilities, with those spells. And Deadly Poison and Cold Blood is something that you don't really want to play this turn.
Sure.
You need to dagger up first. That's 2 mana lost somewhere in the process, and if you dagger up this turn, you still have no certainty that your auctioneer will actually live, or there will be just an execute use on it. So I really like that display from JJ.
Yeah, I like it too, actually. Looking at it, it kind of fits the mentality of a lot of people had with Sprint in Oil Rogue, where they would generally, try and make Sprint the last card they played in their hand, right? They play out all their pressure first and then use Sprint to refill at the absolute last moment. This follows that line. You get all your pressure out nice and early. And then, of course, that conceal draw looks pretty for holding onto it. Of course, he would have drawn that anyway if he'd have gone through the Gadgetzan turn on the previous turn. But now he gets to do it with so much more certainty. And if there is no answer for this board picked up in the near future, that second conceal on the next turn is going to crush this game very, very quickly.
Also, he utilizes the Cold Blood immediately, which wouldn't be able last turn, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it does set up a situation where the the split with Ragnaros on whatever minion survives isn't actually as bad, because you can get more damage again, which you do need to get through the damage. That's a lot of health that Control Warrior introduces. And that is a brawl.
Well, what do you do when you win the 50-50? I mean, it's kind of like a... It's not exactly a win.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is winning the 50-50 in this situation?
I still think killing the Gadgetzan is the big win here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it lives.
Well, I guess there really was no win. Based off, if you killed the 4-4 and the 7-3 remained,
it would be even worse, actually.
He would just Gadgetzan right back.
So this is looking like potential Big Van Cleef plus Conceal turn to me. He's going to obviously react to his draws to see what he's going to get, but having not drawn a spell off that first Deadly Poison, he's pretty much just locked into playing out the remainder of his hand. Edwin Van Cleef is going to come down as a 6-6, followed up by the Conceal, so plenty more damage built up on board. And Cold Blood as well to push through on a following turn. This is looking pretty rosy for SuperJJ with the Brawl already being used.
Interesting that he used the weapon charge this turn.
Well, why wouldn't you, right?
Well, if you want to curve out next turn, because you have one more Eviscerate in the deck.
Yeah, I guess it shuts off Harrison as a potential liability too. You don't know if he ends up using that to draw
that's
another
a good
card.
Point. I just, was trying to browse, is there any point to still keep on that weapon?
I think, when it comes down to the wire, you play around Harrison, as Frodan pointed out. Also, over the course, it's just one extra damage over the course, right? Like, if you're one damage, you get that one extra damage by being able to redagger an attack. So I think it makes total sense just to push through as much as you can in that situation.
Yeah, agreed.
Sorry, really fast 2-0, right?
Yeah, it's fast 2-0, but specifically, I think these were bad matchups for Amnesiac across board. I guess you could say that the new retooled Control Warrior is probably better than the usual Control Warrior, because you have access to N'Zoth as like some late game options, but you still are susceptible to like Twisting Nether and whatnot. And as the game grinds out, I guess it's you know what, actually the matchup changes a lot too, because he's not running Jiraxis, so it's much better for the Warrior that way too. So you know what, I rescind my previous statement, but it's still Miracle Rogue is very strong against Control Warrior nonetheless. So right now he's going to have to turn around. He's going to turn to his trusty Shaman.
I mean, you need to win.
Oh, sorry. That's
JJ's on the Shaman.
I thought that was Ysera.
Yep.
So it is the Ysera with the Warrior.
Yes. Yeah, that was
really interesting.
Well,
it is,
Chillmaw, that's what he has to
right, he's got Chillmaw and he's got N'Zoth, so he brings back the Chillmaw, and he does have some dragon in there. Ysera, does he have anything else?
I didn't see any other dragon in
this
deck.
The Chillmaw dragon synergy in an N'Zoth deck is kind of weird, because quite often the first time you play the Chillmaw, you want the dragon synergy, because it's a defensive card, you blow up your opponent's board. The second time, when it comes back off the N'Zoth, then it works against you if there's the 3 damage death rattle. So it's a really hard balancing point about how often you actually want that death rattle to go off.
Yes,
it's a weird card.
Unless of course you're losing so dramatically on board, you need the second time to impact it as well.
Right.
Well, but when we look at SuperJJ's options, he just needs to win one time out of 3 with a Shaman.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
With that curve. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it looks...
Pretty just needs to draw the 4.
It looks dreamy, right? But it doesn't actually work. He can't play the Tuskar Totemic on curve because the Totem Golem will cause the overload. But, I mean, it's pretty close to optimal, so I totally see why he would just keep the hand there. Tunnel Trog into Totem Golem, if not met with the Fiery War Axe, is a huge amount of damage, and now the Abusive Sergeant does fill out the curve pretty nicely.
And this is where you start running away with the game. I mean, he still has one more turn to draw it.
He does.
Nope. But he has the Slam to Trog, so he can revenge next turn.
Yep, I'm sure that's the play we'll see.
It still is awkward as hell.
Right, it also makes JJ a little bit fearful of playing that abusive Sergeant, though. So
Was he
that
going to?
Flame Tongue Totem draw is a huge deal because the Revenge has been pretty much turned face up in Amnesiac's hand. So playing the abusive Sergeant is a little bit scary. He may have done it anyway just to push through the damage.
But he now has drawn Execute.
Ooh, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal, but still there will be the Flame Tongue Totem remaining, right? Unless he will pick that as an execute target.
I feel like you want to remove the immediate damage off the board.
Agreed.
Even though, yeah, Flame Tongue represents more damage with its potential. Flame Tongue is a 4-attack minion if you really want to stretch out its abstract damage. But it's still, the Totem Golem is an immediate threat.
Yeah, 2-mana Korkron Elite, as it was famously dubbed by Chucky at one point, which I think is a little bit ambitious, but sure,
Yeah,
I see how you get to that number, but yeah, sure. The Finley pickup here to go along with the Tuskar
that's the
Totemic,
Flame
and
Tongue
the
Totem.
Flame
Oh
Tongue
my
can
God.
attack. This is brutal, but the Coin Brawl is available from Amnesiac, so this is a game that's going to swing back and forth quite heavily here. Looks like the Coin Brawl is what's going to come out.
But it's still Warriors on the back foot. This is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Whatever will survive is still problematic because Shaman will just play more minions.
Oh, savage.
Yeah, that was pretty... I think that's the most damage I could have stayed on board.
Right.
Oh wow, interesting. At Nerf Shock.
Yeah.
I didn't see that for a while in aggressive Shamans.
Yeah, definitely agree. Not the most common card, but JJ's hand is starting to run out of steam, and I have seen this movie before. You get Control Warrior down into the single digits, and suddenly bashes and shield slams start to come out. There is a second bash that has come out, so he has the ability to stabilize here.
Yeah, Revenge now is activated for 3 damage. And yeah, you got him. You did well to get him this far, but can you draw the Doomhammer?
Oh, third one.
Ooh.
This is like the Anubarax. I just have nightmares.
Yeah, definitely having little flashbacks to like having some awkward cards. But Amnesiac can now start playing the Sylvanas to start climbing back. Oh, Blood of Brave, also good. Helps you squeeze in the hero powers every single turn.
That is very important to curve out with that hero power. Just with the bashes available and the shield slam synergy, that is just so important to get every additional ammo point from this point.
How do you feel about him playing the Flame Tongue Totem there? Because I kind of feel like he has access to a lot of mana now, so the Flame Tongue Totem kind of serves the same purpose as the Abusive Sergeant, where if you draw the charge minion, the Argent Horse Rider, it's guaranteed extra damage, whereas exposing it to the board just kind of opens it up to weapon removal and bash, so...
I agree about that, but it puts his opponent in an awkward situation when he can't develop a 6-drop, right?
Sure.
And that's something that might have been affecting this decision.
Yeah, I think when you play the Flame Tongue, also, I don't know how many totems he's played to this point. I think he played 3 totems. So I think from below would have been...
3.
I wonder if he was worried about having that. No, I think he would have been okay. But it's one of those things to also consider is that when you play the totems on the board, you also decrease the cost of some of those cards.
Right.
Too bad he has to use that Rock Biter to deal with that another taunt menu, because the Doomhammer with the Rock Biter is that the dream come true, right? The question is he playing Ancestral Knowledge in this deck?
I'm actually not sure. I haven't seen JJ's lists for this particular tournament. I do usually look at them beforehand, but haven't had a chance to see what he's playing so far. But based on the fact that he has the Tuskar Totemic in his aggro list, it looks like it's similar to what Sixo has been playing, with the things from below, and that therefore cutting the card draw just to play, a more high quality curve in general. So the Warrior having now stabilized, he can possibly even just outvalue a Doomhammer at this point. Now the Rockbiter is gone. He has 2 bashes in hand to gain life, plus the hero power, and he's now activated a pretty fast clock on JJ himself.
Look at that.
But there we go. We will start to find out. The Druid
6
hero
damage.
power. Right. The Druid hero power is in play, which increases the damage, but as I said, he does have the opportunity to stabilize here, and most importantly, he has a clock of his own. This isn't a one-sided race anymore. There is a 10-7 Grom on the board racing back the other way.
When you consider, it's kind of funny because the Shaman has no more armor than the Warrior.
Of Druid hero power. Amnesiac can try to find a way to put a real clock onto his opponent, but I don't think he can without hero powering up. I think if he played Sylvanas, that would have been one way.
Right,
but
you have to bash face this turn to play around Lava Burst as an out, because now you're out of range of any one single card that's drawn, right?
Well, he has 2 outs to kill his opponent next turn. And those 2 outs are...
Oh my
that's-
god, 12 damage, 1 damage off.
Right.
That's a
So
ridiculous
close.
card draw
Yeah.
when you think about it.
So yeah, he just has to jam it through here. There's no other option. The second bash is going to come out, which takes him back up to 6, but that's not going to be good enough because 6 is the exact number that he has. So
He needs either a weapon to put the lethal, because that will be exactly lethal, right? 12 or 15, 18.
Oh wait, is that enough?
That's 5 damage from the hand. That's not enough.
no, it's one off.
Oh
one off,
my
yes.
goodness.
It was one off, and even if he could do it, it would end up as a draw because he couldn't. Oh no, he'd have the bash to
he
gain.
bashed
armor.
to gain
right.
life and
yeah,
then
yeah,
hit
you're
again,
right.
but he's
Right.
off.
He needed the Fury War Axe just to finish up the game.
Mhm.
That was one of his another out. I mean,
Ragnaros.
one of 2 outs. Yes,
Ragnaros as well.
Yeah.
Gorehowl if it's in there.
Ah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Didn't he play the Arcanite Reaper as well?
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Someone was playing an Arcanite Reaper and that wasn't in a
Yeah,
Pirate
but
Warrior.
Okay.
as it stands, I don't think Nazoth pulls out a taunt minion.
Nope.
And if that's the case, then that's just it.
Wow. That was a really
Wow.
fast final.
It was. Quick 3-0. People wanted of Hearthstone's esports. Well, now you know. Anticlimactic Grand Finals. 3-0 sweep. And that does it. SuperJJ has taken the tournament, winning it for the Horde.
Well,
And that
you
was
better
really
than
fast.
an A. We knew all along. No surprises here.
Yeah, well, wait till Amnesiac hits legal age and he can pursue gaming with his whole heart.
Just for a second,
Just
I wondered
kidding.
where you were going with that throwdown, but yeah, I mean,
I'm just kidding. Oh, he tweeted that this is his last tournament that he's going to play for a while, and then he's going to focus on schooling for a long time.
right. I think just slight aside from the tournament, but Amnesiac, despite losing here, is a very level-headed young man, right? He has his priorities right. This isn't his #1 priority. His studies are, and despite that, manages to be an incredible Hearthstone player. Again,
Nice.
making the grand finals here, no small accomplishment, but unfortunately vanquished by the might of Complexity's own SuperJJ.
Yeah, maybe it's a premonition for what's going to happen next week, because I think Complexity's been killing it lately. They've had the players qualifier events. Their casters are looking sharper with each event. And, they're really just starting to take their place in the Hearthstone scene. So, really good job to SuperJJ. Love his lineup as well. I like the inclusion of Hunter, because I do think Hunter is an underrated class. And I do think that people will be paying more attention to it, because Call of the Wild is pretty nuts. So a job well done once again, JJ.
Yeah, just when you thought my face couldn't look any more smug, suddenly Frodan has to shower me with praise as well. But let's not take anything away from JJ. He is the man that's won this tournament. He's put himself, what, $7,500 in his back pocket?
$6,000.
$6,000 in his
It was
back
6,000, 4,000 split. So
Wow.
that was a 3-game $2,000 bonus there for SuperJJ.
Yep.
Of course, we want to give a shout out to Shixo and Jockey. You also finished within the top 4 and the finals of their respective faction. They go home with $2,500. And a good job well done to everyone who's been able to get so far. Of course, notable decks. Stan Sivka bringing the Cthulhu Priest, and of course Eloise's Weird Dragon Ramp Druid.
So look
And
at those
the
pictures.
deck that we didn't get to see in that series, Amnesiac's Control Shaman,
yeah.
which was another huge highlight as well.
I just wanted to say that look at those pictures. It exactly resembles the result.
Well, thank God it worked out that way.
Yeah, otherwise it would just look weird.
Yeah, Amnesiac's mad happening. We do apologize. We haven't gotten Amnesiac's camera up because we did have technical issues on his side all weekend, so we weren't able to. But we tried our best, and we hope you guys really appreciated that. And that wraps it up for this event. Thank you so much, everyone who's tuned in. We want to remind you guys once again that it's all because of the production that's going to happen with Warcraft movie releasing in theaters June 10th across all of America. So make sure you guys get a chance and support not only the Warcraft universe and everything they put out, but it's also awesome to see Warcraft be put into a film. So I'm definitely going to watch it. You guys should watch it and check it out too. Guys, you have any last words that you want to say before we sign off, Sottle?
No, not much. Just hope everyone's enjoyed watching. Big thank you to Xfinity for sponsoring the tournament. Of course, wouldn't be possible without the sponsors coming in and supporting the scene. So that's a huge deal. Thank you to our production team, all my co-casters. I've had a great time. Hope to be back soon.
Lothar?
Well, I won't repeat what you guys said, so I'll just say that I kind of was missing invitational tournaments. They are so much fun.
It is fun to see some of the players come out. I mean, we have some of these merit-based competitions that happen with the Championship Tour. Even I think the One Nation of Gamers tournament's happening right now too, and you get to see open tournaments like that. And of course, you get to see big LAN events like DreamHack. But once in a while, these invitationals are really fun, and we hope you guys had fun as well. So from Frodan, Lothar, Life Coach is not with us, but he's been doing such a great job casting, and Sottle. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time for some more Hearthstone action. Have a good night.